Oh, blessings, everyone. I am surprising myself by making this video this morning, but I had such like a strong feeling to talk to you about this that I decided to just go ahead and pop in and make a quick video about really stop, the something that can cause us so much distress and really so much crazy making. Hey, welcome. If you're popping on, if you want to say hi, Brenda, welcome. Something that can really get in the way of us feeling at home in our lives and in ourselves and really like confident in our expression of what that is, in our life, like really being who we are in our life, almost like boldly. And I love to say boldly because I think a lot of us here, we're empaths. We're highly sensitive. And sometimes if you're like me, you can, pivot towards the side of introversion and sort of like when we're feeling not good enough, insecure, not confident in who we are, or just not connected to who we are, our tendency can be to pull in and to get small and almost really feel small. And then when we're in this place, we're like trying to get validation outside of ourselves. Like it's like in order for us to feel okay inside of our own skin, that's hitched on someone else approving of us, whether it be, our clients or our boss or our partner or our friends or whatever. Whoever this might be for you. Hey, Shayna, welcome. And this tendency that some of us might have to get validation outside really sets us up for a chronic sense of shakiness and uneasiness. Because we cannot ever guarantee that external validation. Like that's something that's it's not always going to be there. There's like so many people in this world and they all have a different story about you based on their story. So who I am to you is not the same as who I am to the other person watching this video, or everyone watching this video is going to have a different story about me. And if I'm looking to you for a sense of approval, we all need approval. We need to know that we're enough as we are and that we are indeed magnificent and ordinary at the same time. All of us have a need to remember that. That said, where is it that we can really remember that so that we're not setting ourselves up for living really like afraid? I think like we're really living from fear, and there's nothing, I mean, we all live with some fear. I mean, all of us kind of, fall from the Garden of Eden, so to speak. We forget the truth of our enoughness and our okayness that's already here in this moment. And when we start forgetting that, we start trying to get validation outside. So you might just start to sense, who am I feeling shaky around? And who like, is that tied to some sense of them approving of me? Like just taking some breaths with that. And I hope this is resonating and helping you all who are watching this. But you might just sense that, like, who is my sense of okayness? Like maybe, and you can feel it in that relationship. It's like, it feels a little shaky. And like you might be aware of your tendency to do things to compensate for that. It could be, yeah, so just, who is it? And then begin to have some insight around, look at this, like, how are you at all able to control how that person perceives you? I mean, really. And if you look closely enough, you'll start to sense that if everyone is seeing you through their story of you, and that you really cannot control the story someone tells about you. I mean, and to try is exhausting and sets us up for a lot of pain and a feeling of not being authentically expressed in our lives. I mean, I read this amazing quote over the weekend that said, when we live with a mask, then that invites, and I'm misquoting here, but it's something like when we mask our fear, when we're masking our fear, then we set ourselves up for feeling the terror of inauthenticity. I mean, that was really striking to me. Because whoever we're trying to get validation from, if my sense of being okay is dependent upon you liking me, then I have to wear a mask for you. Because I start to do this game of, what are you going to like? And, how do I make myself up to be that way? And if it's not who I really am, then over time, there's a feeling of terror that comes up because, I mean, gosh, that's such a precarious thing. Like, what if the mask melts? Or what if I forget to put it on? You know what I mean? It's a really scary way of living. So, and many of us were taught to seek our okayness externally, and that our being okay was only true if those around us liked us. And I don't know of a single person alive who hasn't done this, who hasn't exchanged their okayness for approval, when they were younger, their authenticity for approval. I mean, this is something I think, so many of us do, so there's no judgment here. But now that, as we become conscious, we can start to shake that off, and part of it is seeing the places where we're trying to get validation outside, getting really honest about and starting to see that there's no way that it's a setup for failure. And so we need to start developing a sense of inner validation. Okay, I have a poem that starts off by saying, stop trying to get validation inside. This whole thing as a sacred inner validation. So beginning to approve of ourselves, and often that starts with a willingness to approve of ourselves. And something that's worked really well for me in this arena is to behold myself as if I would behold a dear friend. Because I find that with my friends and my loved ones, I have, it's not hard for me to generate a sense of care and forgiveness and see their beauty, see their goodness, see all of the ways they're amazing, to validate them in that, in a way. And then to turn that same energy towards myself. And then really beginning to note throughout the day. And so you don't even have to do it throughout the day. A practice that I do at night is I keep a small journal by my bed. And before I go to sleep at night, I've made it a practice, a self-love practice, to just click through the day in my imagination and my mind and walk it through, and all the places where I showed up in a way that it was wow, that was, I can feel proud of that. You really have to be willing here, because it's not our habit to view ourselves in this lens, in this light. That's why it feels so weird and why it's hard to do, because it's not a habit. It's not your reflex. It's not on default. Hey, Kelly, welcome. And so these practices that I am giving you right now, they're not, you might feel a little awkward is what I said earlier. And you'll find that if you start doing this at night, there may be some resistance. And, show up for yourself. Part of cultivating a sense of trust in ourselves is when we take those steps forward in our own self-care. And we do the things that are even the things that are hard. We are willing to step through resistance to do the things that are good for us. Oh, good. I'm glad this is landing. Thanks for the thumbs up because that helps me. Yeah. So it helps us to see, okay, like I can trust myself to follow through with things when it comes to my self-care. So there's like, you have to start making promises to yourself. You know, part of this is really cultivating a relationship with you. And, you know, showing up for yourself consistently and doing the things that you say you're going to do. You know, if you say you're going to meditate and start a meditation practice, then do it. You know, really have your own back like that. And if you're going to start to do this journaling practice at night, like really do it, make a commitment. And if you keep showing up every day for yourself like that, you start to trust yourself more and more. And then that outer validation becomes less compelling, it pulls on you less. You start to like yourself more. Like think of Oprah, you know what I mean? Like one thing is for sure, that woman like respects and loves herself, right? And I don't get a sense that she's sitting around worrying about getting validation from us. Do you? Right? She's freaking amazing. And so this is what we need to do as well. Hey, Marinelle, welcome. Is develop a sense of, you know, a trusting relationship with ourselves and take care of ourselves, and then note that we do when we follow through on our commitments to ourselves. And that's another piece of, so it's really this of unhooking. We need less validation from others, approval from others. And at the same time, really honoring and acknowledging it's a human need to feel approved of, to feel validated. But if you're frantically, you know, trying to tend to others so that, you know, you're maintaining a relationship or maintaining their view of you as being a good one, you know, getting validation externally, looking for reassurance, like that's a setup for uneasiness and restlessness and anxiety. Because as I talked about in the beginning of this video, and if you're just joining now, like go back and watch it from the beginning because I talk a lot about this in the beginning. You know, there's no way. It's a setup for failure if we're looking to others to validate us, because we can't possibly control the story that they have about us. And it's fruitless. It's not helpful. At the same time, you know, when we do get words of praise from others, really taking them in, right? Really taking them in. So I hope this helps. I hope this helps you today. If it did, please comment below and share this video. That would be awesome. And I really love it when you comment or you give me a thumbs up or something like that, like or comment, because that lets me know what's resonant and what's not. And I can I learn that way around what kind of content to deliver to you guys. Last but not least, stay tuned for, if you're not on my email list, I'll leave a link for that in the description of this video so that you can get on that. I have a Black Friday-ish offering around the holiday that I'm super excited about, and so I'll be letting you know more about that probably through here, but also through my newsletter. So stay tuned for that. And sending you so much love and many, many blessings. Namaste.